Hey guys, my name's Jackie. Welcome to Fullness and Freedom. This is where I share quick devotionals that are 5 minutes or less. And today we're going to look at Acts chapter 16 and talk about the power of praise. Now, it's easy to praise when things are going well, when we're feeling good. It's not so easy to praise when we're in the middle of a struggle, in the middle of a battle, or when our faith is feeling low. But when our faith is feeling low, that's actually one of the best times to praise God. And that's because our faith isn't a feeling. The way we demonstrate our faith can't be dictated by our feelings. Our faith is a decision. It's a decision to praise God despite our circumstances or how we're feeling. To say, I might be feeling low, but I choose to praise and lift your name up high. I might be feeling like my situation in front of me is impossible to overcome, but I choose to praise because the word says that our faith can move mountains. I might feel like Satan is attacking me, but I choose to praise because I believe that God is greater and mightier than any attack coming against me. And usually when we think about praise, we think about music, but it's so much more than music. There's so much power in our praise. And in my experience, praise has done these three things in my life. One, it shifts our focus off of ourselves, off of our worries, and onto the greatness of God. Two, it invites God's presence into our present moment. And because of God's presence, our spirits can be refreshed and renewed. There's been so many times when I go to church and I'm feeling low, I'm in the middle of struggling with something. And then when I start to lift my hands in praise and I start to worship God and surrender whatever I'm carrying to Him, it just lifts something off of me and it strengthens my faith. And three, our praise is actually a weapon that we can use against Satan. And there's an example of this in Acts chapter 16, which is what I want to talk about today. And so for a little bit of context, in Acts chapter 16, Paul and Silas, they cast a demon out of a woman who was a fortune teller. And after that, her owners were upset because she was no longer telling fortunes and couldn't make them money like before. And so we'll pick up in Acts chapter 16, verse 19. When her owners realized that their hope of making money was gone, they seized Paul and Silas and dragged them into the marketplace to face the authorities. They brought them before the magistrates and said, "These men are Jews and are throwing our city into an uproar by advocating customs unlawful for us Romans to accept or practice." The crowd joined in the attack against Paul and Silas, and the magistrates ordered them to be stripped and beaten with rods. After they had been severely flogged, they were thrown into prison, and the jailer was commanded to guard them carefully. When he received these orders, he put them in the inner cell and fastened their feet in the stocks. So at this point, Paul and Silas had been stripped. They had been brutally beaten. They were bruised, bloodied. Maybe something was broken. And I don't know about you, but if that were me, I probably wouldn't respond by choosing to praise in that moment. But if we look at the next verse, it says, "About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God." They made a choice. Despite what they were facing, despite how they were feeling, they chose to pray and to praise God. And what happened next? The other prisoners were listening to them. Suddenly, there was such a violent earthquake that the foundations of the prison were shaken. At once, all the prison doors flew open and everyone's chains came loose. Paul and Silas, they weren't focused on the impossible looking situation. They weren't sitting there saying, "What are we going to do? How are we going to get out?" Instead, they gave it to God. They prayed and they praised Him in the middle of their battle. And God made a way for them and the other prisoners to be set free. And not only that, but after that happened, the jailer who was watching them, he asked, "What do I need to do to be saved?" And he and his whole household ended up becoming believers and were baptized. So if we ask ourselves, what can we learn from this story? Praise takes our focus off of ourselves. It puts it on God. It invites God's presence into our present moment. The God who has the power to break the chains off of our lives. And praise can be a weapon against the enemy. And like we see with the jailer becoming a believer, our praise can also help lead others to Jesus when they see us praising God, no matter what we're going through. So the next time you find yourself in the middle of a battle, in the middle of a seemingly impossible situation, I know it's going to feel hard, but I want to encourage you in that moment to make a decision to praise God, to surrender it to Him, to worship His name, to pray to Him and to see how God is going to make a way for you.